Hey everyone, and welcome. I'm Stephanie Hoddle, Marketing Specialist here at Americhem. Thank you for joining us today to learn more about EcoLube. Before we get started, just a few quick housekeeping notes. This is a webinar format, so your cameras and microphones will remain off throughout the session. The chat is open, so feel free to use it to ask questions or share comments throughout. The webinar will run for about 45 minutes, followed by a Q&A with your questions in the chat. If we don't get to your question during the session, we'll be sure to follow up shortly after. Today's session is being recorded and we'll send out replays to all registrants shortly after we wrap up. You'll be hearing today from our featured presenters, Rafael Delgado, Business Development Manager, and Bobby Krieger, Technical Service Manager, here at Americhem. Thanks for joining us. Let's get started.
Thanks, Steph. Hello, my name is Rafael Delgado, Business Development Manager for Americhem, primarily in the healthcare sector. My journey started early. My dad was a 10-year tool and die maker, and that sparked my interest in plastics engineering. I began my career at GE Plastics, specifically the LMP division, where I gained a solid foundation on specialty high performance compounds. Then I made my move out of engineering into sales at Millicron, selling capital equipment, molding machines, chillers, dryers, anything a plant needs. That experience gave me great hands-on exposure to how materials, tooling, and processing come together on the production floor. For the past 16 years, I've been at Americhem, primarily partnering with our healthcare OEMs on material selection for a wide variety of applications, from complex minimal invasive tools to high volume disposable components. My focus is aligning materials with CTQs, hitting price targets, and ensuring ease of manufacturability. Whether it's a 32 cavity tool, thin wall, thick wall, tight tolerance, or a specific secondary operation, getting the material right on the front end is critical to avoid downstream delays. Along with front-end OEM assistance, I also work with my cohorts to provide injection and extrusion assistance at the OEM's converters, supporting and aiding in troubleshooting. If an issue arises, warping a dimensional problem, I work closely to coordinate technical support to resolve problems quickly and get back on track on production.
Hey everyone, thank you for attending. My name is Robert Krieger. I go by Bobby usually. I have about 15 years experience in the plastics compounding industry in various technical roles, from lab management to product management, research and development, and tech service. I work with RAF and other developers on a day-to-day basis to help make materials out of our Americhem, New Jersey plant, where we specialize in high temperature and highly loaded compounds. So our Instruct, Inelec, InLube, and now our new EcoLube trade names. Thank you.
Thanks, Bobby. So here's your scope and the content we'll be discussing in this presentation. We'll be introducing our EcoLube platform, which expands on our current product portfolio of new non-PFAS lubricated plastic materials. This line was developed in response to a growing regulatory pressures and an industry shift towards safer and high-performance alternatives to PTFE. The EcoLube offering complements our well-established InLube product line and includes lubricated compounds using PTFE, silicone, aramid, and graphite. Together, these platforms offer our customers a broader range of options to meet evolving performance, regulatory, and processing requirements. So a little bit about us. Americhem just isn't another material company. We've been around for over 80 years, evolving and innovating along the way. We're global, privately held, and home to a team of 900 incredible people over 12 locations. Whether you're talking color, performance, or processability, if it's polymer-based, we're most likely working on it. For example, if you wanted added grip to a surgical tool or added grip to a golf club, we can do that. Or if you need a bug repellent additive added to a specific fabric, we do that as well. We got the tools and technology to make your product not just look better, but feel better, process better, and perform better. So the PFAS problem statement. Before we get into all the technical content, I want to ground the conversation on why PFAS, specifically PTFE-based additives, have become such a pressing issue and why it matters. In the beginning, when I heard about the PFAS movement in Europe, I have to say, honestly, I didn't give it much mind. Then a random evening, I watched a true story movie called Dark Waters about the infamous case about PTFE disposal process in West Virginia, leading to a widespread of cancer cases and birth malformations. So when you have time, take a chance and watch the flick and see if it brings the issue more alive in your heart. The film brings to light some horrific facts, including 99% of humans on Earth now have PFAS in their blood. And PFAS is a forever chemical, so it doesn't break down and it accumulates in our soils, our water, and living beings. Water, our most vital and precious resource for survival, is now one of the most common sources of PFAS exposure, not just in industrial zones, not just in runoff, but the water we drink every day. So think about it. The water that comes from our skies is no longer safe to drink. Studies have shown that even rainwater now exceeds EPA's lifetime health advisory for PFAS. And it's not just in isolated areas. Over 200 million Americans are exposed to PFAS through contaminated tap water. That's 2/3 of our country. So it's no longer about ignorance, it's about accountability. That's why we created EcoLube, a high-performance, PFAS-free alternative. No shortcuts, no wishful thinking, just responsible innovation. Not in perfection, you'll still need to test the samples in your tool to make sure it meets your shrinkage values, and also test functional wear testing as well. But if we're serious about change, this is where it starts, with the decision to care and the courage to act. One of the biggest challenges about PFAS isn't just the chemistry, it's the regulatory chaos that surrounds it. Laws vary widely. What's banned in one state or country is allowed in another, and rules are constantly evolving. For manufacturers, it creates a moving target that slows down innovation, development, and also raises compliance risks. That's why we focus on non-PFAS solutions designed to meet today's needs and tomorrow's regulations, no matter where you operate. Bobby's going to take it from here, defining PFAS chemistry and diving deeper into the current regulatory landscape. But first, we want to take a quick second to ask you a poll question. So if you click on the chat function, which is the little idea button with 2 lines, on the right-hand side, you'll be able to put an answer to this multiple choice question. So we'd like to know where you're at in your journey with PFAS. A, you're curious about it, and that's why you're here. B, you have some type of active research and maybe some development. Maybe you're sampling some of our non-PFAS solutions or somebody else's. C, you're in the process, you have active product substitutions and you're about to launch. Or D, you've already launched and you already have marketing behind it, supporting that your product is non-PFAS free. So if you can take that second, that'd be really appreciated. Bobby?
Yeah, so a lot of A's and D's. We got people on both sides of the equation here, which is nice. Good to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. Thanks for your response. It's fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. A lot of A's and D's. So before we delve too deep into the technical discussions, I think it's important that we lay out some definitions and common terms around PFAS. That you'll hear on this discussions in this topic and throughout the presentation. So PFAS is a broad category containing thousands and thousands of molecules. So basically anything with a CF bond, a carbon to a fluorine bond, can be classified as a PFAS. Fluoropolymers are a separate class of PFAS, or long chain molecules, PTFE, ETFE, things like that, many of which Americhem and other polymer suppliers work with. And C6, D8, these C numbers are another way of broadly categorizing PFAS chemicals. There are claims that the lower C numbers are less persistent in the environment, but the data shows there's not really a large difference. So the C6 basically tells you the length of the carbon chain in the particular molecule. Some others here. PFCA is another small subset of PFAS that includes three specific chemicals, among others, that are highly restricted. So PFOS, PFOA, and PFHXS. They are C8, 8, and 6 chemicals, respectively, and they're common targets of regulatory actions throughout the globe. So on to the regulations. This is the current state of regulations at the federal level. The most recent addition is in 2024, the addition of PFAS in drinking water with a very low threshold of parts per trillion. So that kind of shows you which direction that regulations are going with this. From an engineer standpoint, parts per trillion is a very low threshold. Now to the state level, many states have created restrictions or straight up bans on PFAS beyond the federal regulations. Now, this typically includes areas like cookware, clothing, and food packaging, but the list is steadily growing, and with many states having additional proposals coming down the pike. Now, here's the current state of regulations in EU. Key difference here from the states are the specific chemical callouts like the mentioned before, PFOA, PFOS, and PFHXS. So they're actually targeting these small chain molecules, which are building blocks for PTFE and can be residual monomers of PTFE as well. Currently in China is very similar to the US as far as plastics, but there are many other restrictions in place regarding PFAS in textiles and food packaging, and it's starting to be closer to some of the more restrictive states in America. They also have some strict import and export regulations around these chemicals too. Now the future, here are some of the proposals the REACH committee made in 2023 in the EU. Option 1 being a complete ban of all PFAS with a grandfather period. Option 2 has a little more resolution than that, but it does still include polymeric PFAS like PTFE as well.
Thanks, Bobby. So
yeah, thank you.
Talking about no problem. So talking about sustainability. So as you're aware, PFAS has become a critical focus across industries, not just for regulatory compliance, but also for broader environmental and human health implications. In the context of medical surgical applications where material safety and long-term impact matter deeply, it presents both a challenge and an opportunity. We're emphasizing here how companies can leverage PFAS management as a driver for sustainability leadership. This starts with proactive risk management, anticipating regulations, material transitions, and safety expectations before they become critical issues. We're also looking at how to embed sustainability into our core operations, not just as a checklist, but also as a part of how we design, source, and innovate responsibly. It ties closely to our corporate responsibility where transparent governance ensures we're accountable, not for what we produce, but also how we produce it. And then finally, stakeholder engagement is key. Whether it's healthcare professionals or patients or regulators, we're focusing on open conversations to align priorities and make smarter, sustainable decisions together. So PTFE, this slide is a quick summary on PTFE. When we talk about PTFE, we're referring to one of the most reliable fluoropolymers in terms of performance and stability, especially in the high demanding settings of medical and surgical environments. It's a cornerstone of our EcoLube product line due to its unique molecular structure. This gives a rare mix of chemical inertness and low surface energy, which makes it exceptionally effective at reducing friction in components like gears, valves, and other wear-sensitive parts. Importantly, PTFE doesn't degrade when in contact with biocompatible fluids or under sterilization, making it a natural fit for healthcare applications where both performance and safety are non-negotiable. In this next slide, in the bottom right, we got pictured here the image of PTFE and how it works. The image shows how PTFE and silicone each function in a lubricated molded part. PTFE operates through a mechanism called blooming, where a small amount of surface friction or wear needs to occur for the PTFE particles to come to the surface of the molded part. To bridge that gap, we sometimes blend in silicone with the PTFE, and the silicone offers immediate surface protection right off the molded part, providing startup wear. Over time, the PTFE takes over and the silicone oxidizes and dissipates away. This combination provides both short-term and long-term lubrication, ensuring smooth performance throughout the device life cycle. So our second poll question, if you can take a second and go to the chat function, do you use PTFE currently in your process? A, yes, you know it's being used. B, yes, you know it's being used, but maybe it's not in your category or in your division. Maybe it's a coating on an electrical board or something like that. C, you use it, but it's more in your lubricants. Or D, you do not have any applications using PTFE. So again, if you could take a second, that'd be great. Got some A's, B's, D's. All right.
A lot of A's and D's again. So people are all in or all out, it seems, which is good.
Yeah, that's great. A lot of A's. Hey, thank you. Thank you for the people that responded.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so transitioning now to our EcoLube and some more details about it. Now that we covered PTFE in its regulatory context, we're excited to introduce our EcoLube product line. EcoLube leverages diverse chemistries and additive combinations to create custom formulated solutions, whether you're looking to offset existing PTFE materials or support entirely new programs. We can apply existing tribology data or generate new data tailored to your specific wear pairings and CTQs. We also tune physical properties by incorporating reinforcements, like glass fiber or carbon fiber for enhanced strength, dimensional stability, or target shrinkage, including options like glass beads and milled glass fiber. And we go further, integrating functional additives like laser marking, laser welding additives, UV stabilization additives, or radio opacity additives, depending on what your application needs. With that, I'll turn it over to Bobby to walk you through how EcoLube delivers on performance without compromise.
All right, thank you, Ralph.
Yeah, no problem, Bobby.
So what is EcoLube? So you can see our official sort of marketing definition right here, our elevator pitch definition, but I wanted to highlight that it's not a specific additive, or is it a specific resin or limited to one type of resin application or industry. It's more about Americhem's capability and abilities to provide a custom solution for each application you bring to us. That's why we ask, why are you using PTFE in the first place? So here's sort of the value proposition of EcoLube. On the left here, you remove your PFAS, you maintain the wear and friction properties and other benefits of PFAS, but you do get some benefits as far as sustainability and lightweighting, and sometimes a cost reduction as well. So what you're going to look for, anywhere that you have moving parts or any parts that are sliding together, potential for wear or squeak or sliding, or something that needs to have a smooth assembly, that's where you want to look for. We'll look to place an EcoLube product. So here's a sampling of the base polymer types that we can work with. We'll get into more detail a little bit later about the specific additive categories and the strengths and weaknesses of each. But I just want to point out that many of these can be combined together for synergistic effect or multiple CTQ application. So you can see we run the gamut from ABS all the way up to peak as far as temperature profile. So I want to be sure that you guys know that any kind of different polymer that comes to us, we can work with for the most part. And Ralph will talk a bit about the different applications here.
Thanks, Bobby. So EcoLube is designed for high performance applications in demanding environments across a range of industries. In fluid handling and HVAC, it offers excellent chemical resistance and wear stability. It's ideal for reinforced parts such as bushings, gears, impellers that are exposed to corrosive media. In the medical sector, EcoLube enables low friction, durable actuations in surgical instruments and diagnostic devices with PFAS-free formulations that enhance clinical safety. For transportation applications in aerospace, automotive, and rail, it supports quiet, self-lubricating performance in both interior and exterior components. Select grades also incorporate enhanced wear resistance while meeting flammability standards. Key attributes for the evolving requirements for electrical and hybrid vehicles.
Great. So one interesting application we put together is a bearing grade for PEEK, P-E-E-K resin. Traditionally, this material is made of a synergy of graphite, carbon fiber, and PTFE in the PEEK substrate. But we have a grade that we've created replacing the PTFE with a proprietary PFAS-free alternative. It provides similar wear resistance and dimensional stability, an improvement in flow and processability, with a small trade-off in thermal resistance. So it's not going to mold at the same temperatures at PEEK. You'd have to be on the cooler side, but performance is very much the same. Now I'll speak a bit about the test methodology and the various wear and friction properties generated through these tests that we use to compare materials. ASTM D3702 is an industry standard test methodology involving a thrust washer rotating a test material. So you have, your test material and a counter-rotating surface rubbing against each other. What's good about this test is that the washer and the specimen can be made of different materials, so it's good to generate wear pair data. So you can rub your plastic against steel, hardened steel, a different type of plastic. So you can fabricate parts out of both sides here to generate any kind of wear data you need. So an important piece of data generated during this test is the wear factor. Now, there's a bit of math on this page, but to put it simply, the wear factor describes the volumetric amount of material being worn away during the test using force, speed, and time as sort of your factors or your denominators. So under the same conditions, a lower wear factor means a better wear resistance. So you're looking for a low wear factor. Another metric we look at, of course, is the coefficient of friction. Basically a measurement of how slick a material is as it slides across a counter surface. Again, a lower coefficient of friction number is better as it means the material is more smooth and requires less force to slide across the surface. Now, there are two types of coefficient of friction. You have your static, which is your force to initiate the motion, and your dynamic, which is your force to sustain motion. So what's unique about most thermoplastics is that the static friction tends to be higher than the dynamic. So that means, after you initially push, it tends to slide a little bit better. But what this kind of manifests itself as is sort of a slip-stick phenomenon where it'll stick and slip and stick and slip as you're turning. So you can get squeaking, inconsistent turning, loss of gear efficiency, and other sort of issues. So here's some data comparing PTFE and EcoLube containing PA66 compounds. So on the left, you see 3 PA66 items. The middle contains 2 15% glass-filled PA66 items, and the right contains 2 30% glass-filled PA66 items. So in each, we're comparing 10% PTFE as the control and our EcoLube offset offering in each glass loading. And we have an unlubricated, unfilled PA66 as well. So on the left side axis, you show the dynamic coefficient as the blue bars. And on the right side, you show the wear factor on the green bars. And you can note the very close parity in both the wear and friction between the PTFE containing and the EcoLube grades. So you're comparing this one to this one, these two, 10% PTFE to our EcoLube offering, 10% PTFE EcoLube offering. Next page is the mechanical property profile of the same items listed on the previous slide. Note the near retention of mechanical properties, especially in the glass-filled grades. In this case, there's a small loss of stiffness and strength, but an increase in impact properties. So if you're comparing these two. Lightweighting is another advantage of these particular formulations. PTFE is actually quite heavy from a specific gravity standpoint. So anything we can do to replace that with a different polymer type or something lighter, goes a long way to hit kind of a double impact on your sustainability. You remove your PFAS and your parts are lighter. Here's similar data in polycarbonate instead of PA66. So again, we have the 0%, 15%, and 30% glass fiber loadings, sorry. And again, good parity with the PTFE compounds, 10% versus our EcoLube offering. Some of the numbers we have here might be a little different from other textbook values you might have seen from materials of this type. This is because we perform our testing against hardened bearing grade steel, whereas others typically use softer steel to generate these numbers. But we want to simulate, the worst case scenario out there. And now the corresponding mechanical data in polycarbonate. So again, you see some loss in stiffness and strength going from PTFE to EcoLube, but note the vast improvement, especially in the unfilled polycarbonate in impact. So PTFE has this ability to impart a real bad notch sensitivity in polycarbonate, but with our EcoLube offering, in this case, you start to get impact numbers closer to unfilled or unmodified polycarbonate, which is about a 16. So we definitely boost the impact in all grades here. And lastly, in palm coil polymer, so unfilled, 15% glass filled, 30% glass filled. We see great results, especially in the glass filled grades here. And you'll have a copy of the stuff after the fact, so you can review it more closely. And the mechanical property data for POM. Just note that these data sets are the same presented on the EcoLube technical bulletin that many of you have seen already as well. So again, you see improvements in impact and elongation, a little bit of loss in stiffness and strength, but I want to point out that these differences are very small from an engineering standpoint, and most applications wouldn't really make or break you as far as changing your tensile stiffness and strength. And again, you get that light weighting too. So now I'll talk a bit about the different types of materials we use underneath the sort of EcoLube umbrella. As I said before, we're not really limited to a particular resin type or additive in most cases, and there are many types of additives we can use depending on the application requirements. But for the most part, they fall into three broad categories: siloxanes, also known as silicone, polyethylene, and your solid state additives, a broad category of basically inorganic fillers. Siloxanes, also known as silicone, is sort of a known solution for wear and friction. They all follow this siloxane chemistry, but there are many different permutations to this general chemistry. So you have different N groups and different ligands that provide different functionality as both a physical lubricant and in some cases a cross-linking agent to promote compatibility between other resins or alloys of resins. So different molecular weights can also offer different rates of migration and retention, to change the efficiency over time curves. And we have many types of siloxane that we work with in-house, and we choose accordingly based on the application, the price point, and what other synergistic additives are present. So some of the advantages of siloxane is that it works well in almost every polymer out there. It's great for slip, good for wear. It's very colorable, and it doesn't have a large effect on the properties if compatibilized correctly. Now it is migratory, so it doesn't offer long-term, in most cases, support, and it can be prone to aesthetic issues if not processed or compounded or compatibilized a certain way, or properly, I should say. So the next very broad category is polyethylene. Now it's another simple molecule, much like PTFE. It's non-polar, very simple, so it offers much of the same benefits as PTFE as far as non-toxicity, hydrophobicity, low coefficient of friction. Now, there is a trade-off with stiffness and thermal resistance compared to PTFE, of course, but there are ultra-high molecular weight polyethylenes that can withstand surprisingly high heats. So the key is compatibilization and stabilization to ensure molecular weight retention. And that's a bit of the secret sauce with with Americhem here. We have a wide range of polyethylene copolymers, grafting technologies, and polyethylene of different weights and flows as well. So some types of this polyethylene, the ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene in particular, are designed not to melt in our process or your process during processing, but retain the small spherical particles that PTFE does. This allows for superior wear resistance after break-in, and it synergizes very well with silicone species. And it emulates the same sort of break-in and coating effect that Raf described before with the PTFE, where you have your silicone. When you first mold, the part wears away a bit, exposing the polyethylene particles in the surface. And then as it wears further, you get a nice coating of polyethylene both on the plastic part itself and the co-rotating surface over time. So you get that short-term wear and the long-term wear. Now, not every type of polyethylene can do this. So, we have different designations that do different things. So again, polyethylene is an important part of the EcoLube family. In fact, the data generated earlier in this, presented earlier in this webinar, the bar charts and tables I showed you, were all based on polyethylene types of additives. Like we said, there are some trade-offs with mechanical property changes, but there are more advantages than disadvantages. So, it's very good for wear, great for slip. It can be applied to many resin types with the proper know-how. It's got great chemical resistance. It's a great toughener, but there is a bit of trade-off of thermal resistance. So our EcoLube grades do come with some caveats with the processing. You normally run within the normal process conditions of a particular resin, but you typically need to be on the lower side of your heats, especially when we get to the high temperature resins. But it does work. And finally, the third category can be broadly described as solid state additives. So they're both lubricant types and more structural types. On this page, you see some of the more lubricant type of materials, including graphite, aramid, molybdenum, and boron nitride. Americhem has a ton of experience using these types of fillers in our Instruct, InLube, and Inelec lines. These lubricants are all characterized by low friction and high abrasion resistance, or a combination of the two, like in the aramid, fiber, and powder. And here are the more structural type, fiber type solid state fillers that we also see used in wear and friction applications and are also PFAS free. Glass fiber and carbon fiber, they have a large effect on properties, and when you add them to a polymer, they basically make an entire new product type with radically different tensile stiffness and flexural modulus properties. And so it's important for applications requiring high stiffness and strength. So in addition to this property enhancement, namely the stiffness and the hardness, these things help distribute the load more evenly across the plastic composite. So this reduces localized stress and wear. And they also, of course, harden the plastic too. So it's important to note that these solid state additives synergize very well with EcoLube categories like polyethylene and siloxane. Some of the data presented earlier were the glass fiber with a functionalized polyethylene. Now, Americhem is able to tailor your wear and friction properties needed with highly engineered mechanical property profiles to fit what you bring to us. So some of the advantages of the solid state is that they're really great for wear. They can be used in many different resin types again. They're chemically resistant. You get great tensile strength and stiffness, but you forego some other aspects like colorability. The carbon fiber is a black color, aramid's a yellow color. So some of these can be very difficult to make custom color. And you also, in some cases, you got a sloughing effect, as material wears, something with high amounts of graphite, will make a sloughing effect, which may not be a problem in some applications. So I'll let Raf talk about our EcoLube MD line, which is a line underneath the EcoLube umbrella with some additional benefits.
Thanks, Bobby. Great job. Good data.
Yeah, thank you.
Mesmerizing data, man. Good job. So as far as EcoLube, we have a lot of industrial applications, aerospace, and all those applications, but specifically for the healthcare area, we have EcoLube MD. So when it comes to healthcare, material selection is not just about performance, it's about trust with our OEMs. providing them traceability and compliance. EcoLube MD was developed with that in mind. These grades are already in active use across a range of healthcare applications where we engineered them to specifically align with the rigors and expectations of our medical device OEMs. Our materials both support single use and also that's found in diabetes management, catheter systems, and also drug delivery systems, as well as reusable products in minimum invasive energy-based surgical devices. In high load mechanisms that transmit motion, EcoLube delivers excellent wear resistance and smooth, consistent movement, even under the stresses of sterilization and mechanical cycling. We operate from an ISO 13485 certified facility, which allows us control of every aspect of the formulation with healthcare grade precision. This includes the use of biocompatible base resins, the additives, all of our pigments that are used, and all the reinforcement fillers that Bobby talked about. Our internal controls, such as formulation lock and color standards, ensures product consistency over time across manufacturing lots, which is vital in regulatory markets. Our EcoLube MD grades have also all passed ISO 10993 Part 5 biocompatibility testing, reinforcing their suitability in applications where patient contact is expected. Whether the need is friction management, mechanical strength, noise reduction, or just PFAS-free lubrication, we provide custom solutions tailored to each device's performance and compliance need. Our deep understanding of polymers, with the ability to work with any polymer or elastomer in medical applications, combined with our ability to meet regulatory, functional, and manufacturing requirements, makes us more than just a material supplier and makes us a true engineering partner. We understand how to scale from prototype to production and how to maintain performance across global supply chains and product life cycles.
Thank you, Raf. So I just want to point out that we are doing some more non-PFAS work on our journey to be PFAS free. So, some of you may have heard about our hydrophobic non-woven PFAS free master batch. That's one pillar. We have EcoLube as another pillar. And a third large area where we see lots of PTFE and PFAS use is in flame retardants. So Americhem's working on a PFAS-free non-halogenated FR system as well. So non-halogenated FR is currently a mature market space, but a true PFAS-free solution, I say true because when many people talk about non-halogenated FR, they typically fail to include the PTFE anti-dripping agent needed to pass the V0 testing at UL. So a true PFAS-free solution is not something easily attainable in polycarbonate alloys, and polypropylene. So that's something we're working on to try to figure out how to pass that V0 testing with a non-halogenated system in these resins. Hopefully we have some good news for you by the end of this year, or if not Q1 2026. So please reach out to us for any more information on that, or if you have any other opportunities or problems around PFAS replacement for us to solve.
So we're going to wrap it up. We appreciate your time today to listen to the presentation. We hope it provides some additional context. The PFAS situation itself has inspired some interest into the topic, and we sincerely hope to hear from you soon to at least test our EcoLube product line. We're blessed to have an experienced and technical commercial team that's ready to listen to your needs. They look forward to working with you closely. Like to shout out for Bobby, Parimal Kumar, and the technology teams that they manage, along with our hardworking manufacturing teams. They're the real star of EcoLube. As you saw with the data, we have materials that can offset PTFE materials currently that give you the same coefficient of friction and wear properties. They lower your weight, so lower specific gravity, cost savings, while increasing your impact values and having minimal to no impact on your tensile and flex modulus.
Yeah.
Again, want to wrap up and say, originally this topic really wasn't a big deal in my eyes. I think the whole BPA thing in polycarbonate when that rolled out, how that was handled. Maybe that I thought it was another ghost thing like that. But, again, in all of our worlds, OEMs, converters, compounders, material suppliers, PTFE has multiple ways to enter the waste stream. From the start of the production of it, to the compounders like us that compound it into polymers, to the converters, to the injection molders, and all the extrusion houses. They have their waste, bulk compound guys. And then the most impactful place is when your product is finished being used and how it's disposed of. Burying it, burning it only multiplies the issue. And shout out to our sustainability group in dealing with this situation. We have a well-staffed sustainability team that's created EHS protocols to have responsible disposing process to meet our local regulations. Our PFAS-free EcoLube product is now available to meet all of your needs. So we're going to go into the Q&A portion here. Look forward to hearing your questions, and any questions that we need to phone a friend and get an answer for you. We'll ensure that we will get back to you in a timely manner.
Okay, David, he popped one in. Is this presentation being recorded in a manner that can be shared with customers? Stephanie, maybe you can answer that better than we can, but I believe it is,
sure.
right?
Yes, it's actually being recorded, and in the next couple of weeks, it will be available on our website, and so we will send that link out to all of the attendees today. Thanks.
Great, thank you. That was an easy one.
No problem.
Anybody else? Well, I guess that means we had a good presentation, Raph. No questions, no follow-ups. But like we said, our information's here. If anything pops up, let us know. And yeah, again, thank you for attending.
Yeah, thanks for your time, everybody. I was expecting more questions, Bobby.
Yeah, me too. We had all these plans, but that's okay. It is a lot of information to digest, I guess.
Okay, I think that concludes our presentation. Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you all.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.